Medicaid serves nearly 66 million Americans who often have challenges accessing health care. Many of them go to the ER to treat common, low-acuity conditions, but technology could change that. Our Express Care platform, for example, provides video visits for people who can't miss work or don't have access to transportation. It has the potential to connect underserved patients to vital resources. To see how progress happening outside of healthcare can inspire new ways to innovate, I spoke with Brandon Krieg, the CEO and co-founder of Stash. What I do is focus on transforming the customer experience in healthcare. Tell me a little bit about, who you are, how you kind of came to be around Stash and the work that you guys do at Stash.
Yeah, cool. My background actually is a complete opposite of what we do at Stash now. I started my career in algorithmic electronic trading in the market, and effectively I helped hedge funds and mutual funds and make more money or find better ways of trading their big institutional orders. And after a very long career doing that, I ended up working for a big global bank. And one day, someone that worked in the research team came over to my co-founder and I and said, "I have some extra money to invest. What should I do with it?" And we both looked at each other and said, "Wait a second. Like, how is it possible you're asking that question? You do this for a living." And it dawned on us that we needed to find out if this problem was widespread. And so we literally went out to the street one day and started asking people about money. And the one deal we had with each other, this is Eddie, my co-founder, and I, is that we weren't going to ask anyone that had a suit and tie on. And so every time we asked someone, "Hey, do you invest? Do you save?" People would say, "No, I don't, but I really, really want to." And we'd say, well, tell me why. Why not? And so we heard two things. One, I really don't understand it, so I'll do it later. Or I don't have enough money yet. I need to be rich, so I'll do it later. And we'd ask people, what's rich? And no one could define that. No one could answer that question. It was always the kick the can down the street game. I'll do it later. I don't know. I'll do it later. And so we quit our jobs to start Stash, right? So Stash is a digital-first financial platform. We help people invest, save, bank, and get financial education and advice all in one platform. And we started about 3 years ago, and we now have over 3 million customers throughout the U.S., and it's just been an incredible journey helping people that are this mass underserved, almost, left aside population of the U.S. that doesn't invest, doesn't save, pays too much in banking fees. And it just so happens that there are close to 150 million people in the U.S. like this. So that's kind of what we're doing and the problems that we're solving. It's just been an amazing 3 years. Yeah.
That is really, really cool. It's very similar to some of the stuff that we're doing over here at Providence St. Joseph Health. We have been kind of focused on providing, my team at least, on the digital team has been focused on providing better access to the Medicaid population. And it's interesting, like one of the things that you kind of point out there is just the lack of knowledge and understanding may be the biggest barrier to their participating and investing, which is going to harm them over time, right?
Yeah, for sure. I tell you, I was really excited to come on today to chat with you because one of the first things we did when we started digging into what should Stash be and how do we solve these problems, one of the first things we did is we brought in someone who helped Weight Watchers build Weight Watchers Online. Because we said, what is the closest thing to financial services that we can find? And believe it or not, it's weight loss and healthcare. And and the question that we ask is, how do you help somebody lose 30 pounds? Because you can't just wake up tomorrow and wish 30 pounds away. You got to work at it. The problem is if I said to someone who needs to lose 30 pounds, great, you're going to lose 30 pounds by tomorrow morning. The chances are they're going to gain 2 pounds because of the stress and anxiety. But then you say, hey, we're going to help you lose 1 pound and we're going to celebrate you. And then we're going to help you lose 2 pounds and we're going to celebrate you. That's helping someone through positive reinforcement build a really great habit. Same thing goes when you look at America now with money. 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of studies have shown that about 50% of Americans can't come up with $500 in a medical emergency. So how do you help the 80% of Americans build a really good financial habit? Same thing, right? You get them off the sidelines, onboard them in a really easy way to have a financial account, so a brokerage and investment advisor account. And then you basically make it super simple to understand it. So for us, we provide a lot of education to teach and educate people on not just, hey, you're going to do this thing that you totally don't understand and you've never done it before, but we're actually going to make it super simple. We're going to drop the minimum down to $5 so you can start, and we're going to teach and educate you along the way. What we found is that the average customer, after doing this, builds a habit of putting away about $27 a week. So it's amazing, right? Because after 1 year, this same customer, unfortunately, that was living paycheck to paycheck, now has over $1,000 saved up, and they're building towards their future. So I think it's all about.
So they've gotten a buffer in life for some of these kind of unforeseen things, and then they've also started down the habit. I think your analogy to weight loss and for us that translates into chronic disease. So you end up with diabetes and this big chronic disease burden on you and then it also can kind of roll into other things like depression and anxiety and those types of things. So this is amazing what you guys are doing. So you took lessons from I guess the weight loss industry and are kind of encouraging people to save on a regular basis is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and getting rid of those hurdles, right? Starting small and learning as you go, and just making investing and saving accessible. And we've actually did something last week. We announced we built something called Stockback on top of the banking product that we offer our customers, so that if you don't want to start investing, or you don't know what to do, or you feel still, even after everything we provide, aren't ready, if you open up a bank account on the platform, as you spend money, our system buys you stock automatically wherever you spend money. So if you happen to be a regular Walmart customer, every time you go there and spend, if you use a Stash debit card, we'll give you stock in Walmart every time you go.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so it's about building a habit, right? And like one of the things that I think really connects both of our companies is that health isn't just about, weight loss or, your physical health. Your financial health, I think, plays a big part in your overall life picture. I think they're very aligned with each other.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that we've found in terms of working with the Medicaid population is that, these folks are generally lower to middle, well, actually lower income. And they're eminently logical based on the facts that they have in front of them, which is, and one of the reasons why we're trying to work on kind of providing better, more convenient access is one of the things I always talk about is inconvenience hurts the poor and vulnerable in the Medicaid population way, way more than it does middle and upper income. And the example I always kind of think about is, think about the single mom who is, working an hourly job and one of her kids gets sick. She is, in today's healthcare system, she is mainly forced to take half a day off of work, lose half a day's worth of wages, plus whatever she may have to spend to get to and fro, and just to get her kid seen for something that she's probably had before, right? And so one of the things that we're building around that is the concept of telehealth, so you don't have to even come in. And we're working with the state Medicaid agencies because they typically don't pay for this service, and we're making the argument that they will do the logical thing, which is they'll go and get high quality care after hours, which is the ED, which is the most expensive place you can receive care in the healthcare system, right? And so if you want to avoid that and have them kind of, do something that's more convenient for them, it's a win-win. You've got to basically make them aware of these options. And it sounds like you guys have done an incredible job of making people aware of and educated, because what I heard you say at the beginning was there's two barriers. One is, I don't have enough money, but it's more likely that it's just I don't know what to do, so I'm afraid, so I'm not going to kind of lean in and start saving.
Yeah, I first of all, it's really about giving people access and creating positive habits. And I think, what you just said really, it almost gave me goosebumps. I think it's total bullshit that in 2019 in today's society that we have to live in a world in a country that, the upper middle class and middle class and rich can get all this access and everyone else can't, right? So in healthcare, it's what you guys are doing is incredible. And I think in financial services, it's the same thing, right? Like, you think about overdraft protection in the U.S., right? Overdraft fees for the top banks is an $18 billion a year revenue stream. That is insane. The truth is, though, is that my wealthy friends can call up their bank if they make a mistake and their fee gets waived. Totally. You do the same thing to your average American. The bank would probably rather you leave than reimburse the fee. So we started looking at this and we said, all right.
Because they just, to your point, they just do that math. They say, the overage charge is more than the interest that they'll earn on the checking account or whatever it might be because of the balance is so low, right?
That's right. Exactly. And, I look at our customers, right? Our customers are almost a perfect representation of what America looks like, right? So household income, demographic, gender, everything. And what do my customers pay just in banking fees? So 30% of my customers of stashers pay $70 a month in banking fees. Wow. That is insane. The average customer on Stash pays about $370 a year in fees. But if you take that money and you put it in their Roth IRA and you let it compound for life, it actually makes a fundamental difference in their retirement. It's all about access and information, and it's really powerful. And I think, again, giving people access to things that they have been effectively excluded from, there's no reason that everyone can't do these things, both from healthcare to financial health to everything. I think that
one of the things that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was on a roll. I was getting excited.
One of the things that is a challenge now for us, and I would love to kind of get your take on it, is traditionally most Americans have kind of the following algorithm when they seek care. If I'm willing to wait, I'll go see my primary care physician, right? So I'm willing to wait maybe a few days or possibly a week or so. If I'm not willing to wait, I'll go to the emergency room, which is incredibly expensive. And so they end up seeking care. They either end up kind of, waiting and possibly, putting off care, or they end up being seen in a very expensive place to receive care. And so we've created these new care options like, you can see us the same day, in the morning and schedule online. You can do a telehealth visit on demand. And in the Seattle market, you can even summon us to your home, right? And so we've really made care convenient and accessible. One of the things that's complicated about it is healthcare is so far behind that people don't even really believe this exists, right? So they've just kind of written us off as being this old industry that isn't going to innovate. And so we have a challenge of just educating them on the different options. So with your user base, what I would love to understand is there's probably some similar things where you guys have innovated. You mentioned, delivering stock where I shop and those types of things. How do you think about educating the user base to these new options without confusing them?
Sounds like we have similar problems when it comes to that. And it's sometimes things that are new and highly disruptive to an industry. Unfortunately, you have to get rid of the preconceived notions. So we spent a lot of time on this, right? Because when we launched, we went out to the market and said, we're dropping the investment minimum to $5 because we built a fractional trading model, so you can own fractions of investments. It took a lot of time to get people over that. Well, hold on a second. People would say, how is that possible? How could I only invest $5? And we had to really just keep iterating our product and our messaging to keep making it simpler and simpler so that everyone could understand it. And I think I can't directly answer your question because it sounds like it's a big challenge, right? Because there are more
Yeah,
preconceived notions and more probably negativity around the healthcare industry. I don't know, more probably the same as financial services because, people that
yeah.
that don't have
I
a
mean,
lot
you
of.
must have the challenge that we do, which is you make a statement and it sounds too good to be true, and when people hear it, they believe it's too good to be true. So, for instance, fractional trading, you may even get them to understand what it is, or telehealth in our example. So we'll come to you. We'll actually do a video visit. You don't have to come in. But it's just getting past the belief that is this for real, right? What am I missing? That will come back to bite me as a consumer. Just some skepticism. How do you guys think about that?
Well, I could tell you what we did to kind of get through a lot of that in the beginning, is that we hired an amazing teacher onto the team, and we decided that our tech was really good. Our product, we thought, was, at least our early version of our product was good enough to be in market, right? We had done a lot of UXR work on iterating it before we put it out. But what we found made the big difference is how we talk about it and how we educate our offering to the market. And so what we did is we hired an amazing teacher named Erica Bentley, and she came onto the team to start helping us talk about Stash in a way that was different than your average financial services company talked about finance, or finance, as we like to say. And it worked really well because we had to change the game. We couldn't play the game of financial services the way that everyone else is playing it because we don't represent the same things. We don't have the same values. We don't offer the same things. We're not fee happy, trying to get you at every turn on more and more fees and fine prints. I mean, for us, it's all about transparency and access. So that is one thing that I think worked really well. I think, trying to explain to someone that they could, come to Stash and bank with no overdraft fees and no monthly fees and do something they'd never done before is maybe a little easier than what you have to solve for, because for me, my customers they don't invest. So about 86% of my customers they report first time or beginner investors. So they've never done it before. Whereas we all get sick from kids on, right? So I guess it's a little tougher. But I think education is the real powerful differentiator.
Yeah, one of the things that we've found, I would love to kind of get your take on this, is we're focusing on, kind of what we call, female head of household. So she controls 90% of the healthcare decisions within the home. And she has an immense amount of influence. And one of my theories is because she experiences the healthcare system in a bunch of different ways and learns to use it. It's like, trying to explain to somebody else how to fly a 747. It's complicated and possibly deadly if you get it wrong, right? And so she learns to fly the 747 for the family and basically directs healthcare. And so one of the things that we're working on is a personalization platform. And as it pertains to the Medicaid population, making that very, very multilingual. We're releasing Spanish this year, which we're super excited about, because specifically in OB, and when women are expecting their first child, there is a lot of anxiety that goes on that is made worse by Dr. Google, right? She will go to, to the internet and find out all the horrible things that this symptom could be, and then call up, the OB, and the OB will have to kind of, talk her down from it because she's getting a lot of bad information. So one of the things that we innovated on is saying, look, this is your health system and your OB particularly endorsed, answering the question, is this normal, for example. And then we build that kind of trust with her and stay with her throughout her life as she kind of takes care of her family and whatnot. So that's something that we're thinking about. How have you guys thought about, I guess, the different, segments that you serve within Stash?
I want to answer that, but I want to tell you just a funny backstory. I have three
Yeah.
kids, and one of them is fairly new. And
Yeah.
the one thing that the ROB kept saying to us is, do not go to Google to get advice. And she always said that to us, and it's true. Google will tell you both good and bad things for the same symptom. So it's
Yeah.
almost like you need a button in your digital product that says, don't go to Google, click here. We'll help you.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other thing too about it is it makes the conversation when she does come in for the visit super focused and super productive for both folks, so that they can really talk about what's coming up next instead of, again, saying, no, this isn't an issue and this isn't what your symptoms mean and that's totally normal and you shouldn't worry about it. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side for Stash, what we did is that when we started, one of the things that we realized we couldn't do is we couldn't bring on this new population of users, of Americans, to invest and to use our platform without giving them advice. Because if I get you off the side, it's like, great, now I got you to start investing, I got you to start learning, and I never talk to you again. What are you going to do, right? How do you know when to sell or what to buy or how to keep diversified? So we built something called the Stash Coach, and the coach's job is to stay there on your journey with you forever on the platform. So it's an algorithm that we worked on, and we've been working on it for 3 years, that is constantly learning about what you're reading, what you're learning, so we can make you recommendations of the next thing you should read or the next thing you should learn. It is watching very closely to what you're investing in, so it can give you back advice around how to get more diversified in your holdings or how to dollar cost average. And if you don't know what that means, it will teach you what these terms are, and it comes from the ground up. It looks at, we recently added, about a year ago, life insurance to the Stash platform. So it tries to get an understanding of, do you have life insurance? Do you need life insurance? And if you do, it will introduce you to the concepts of life insurance, because we believe that everyone should have that. And it's just an ongoing algorithm that is constantly learning and evolving with you. And I think it's really important because, I don't think that in both of our industries we can have an expectation that, I liked your analogy, that everyone can drive the 737, right? Actually,
Yep.
I don't want to drive a 737 right now. We'll use a different plane. The
That's right.
The 767.
747. Yeah, 767. How about that?
747. That's a good plane.
Yeah.
But and no, not everyone can drive it. And the truth is, though, if you think about now the disparity between the wealthy and everybody else, is if I have a few $100 million, I could call any financial advisor, and they're going to call me every day. They'll probably wish me a good morning, and probably come tuck my kids into bed at night if I want them to. And they're going to give me advice, and they're going to help me with my taxes and everything else, no matter what I need. Now, if I have $100 to my name, but I have the same aspirations as everybody else, who's going to help me? And the answer is, unfortunately, not many people are going to help you. So it kind of sucks if you think about it, but I think industries like the both of ours, or companies like ours, are really trying to help the masses because they deserve to be helped. They deserve to have the same opportunity and access.
Yeah, we have it's interesting, the parallels, because we built out of basically an AI platform, because we're a Catholic health system. We call it Grace, and what that does is it tries to solve it's a chatbot that tries to solve some of the navigation problems I was mentioning about around the complexity of, like, okay, now we've delivered all these different options for you. One of the big challenges we have is I clearly can't be seen in a telehealth environment for certain conditions, like, I think I may have broken my leg. You should go to the ED or urgent care, right? And so how do I help, patients kind of navigate to the right venue of care so that they're getting care most conveniently, and then also, at a lower cost. So it's really analogous to, some of the work that you're doing, that you were saying about, kind of guiding folks that need investing advice. It's really, really cool what you guys are doing. It also sounds a little bit like Wildflower. I mean, they start with, we know your due date, and we work backwards from that. And we tell you, instead of handing you a, virtual binder of, stuff you need to know about your pregnancy all up front and help you read this, we kind of parse it out as you go down that path, both for you and your caregivers, the folks that are kind of trying to help you. And then the other thing I would also say is what's been incredibly inspiring. We're in 3 of the largest Medicaid expansion states that are in the United States, and so a lot more people have gotten coverage for primary care who weren't covered under Medicaid before. And what you see, especially our caregivers talk about this all the time, is folks getting primary care who otherwise probably would have let a condition go on and get worse and worse and worse. And that has 2 things. Number one is the horrible impact it has on the individual. And then secondly, it also drives up costs, because by the time they've let something go for so long, the cost to treat it skyrockets. And so I think there's an analogy in financial services that, if you don't save a little bit all the time, when you get hit with, sometimes medical bills, it is 10 times worse than it would have been.